Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review, the live match reaction from tonight's game at Stamford Bridge, finishing Chelsea 2, Newcastle 0. And what an utterly pathetic, shite performance that was. Honestly, I thought against the last few games, we've picked up a little bit, we got a little bit better, and then we go and play with that shower of shite tonight. The substitutions, ridiculous. The actual effort was ridiculous. The players had their heads down from the minute they went to goal down, and it just didn't get any better. The second half, we may as well have not gone out there and turned up. It was just utter shite from the word go. And it's just not good enough, man. People are switching off halfway through games. People don't care anymore. And they don't care anymore because we've got Steve Bruce's manager who doesn't give a shit. The man is inept. He's completely inept. He's not good enough to manage this Newcastle United team. But we've got some players on that pitch that need to look hard in the mirror. Emil Kraft, Jesus Christ. I mean, come on. What does he give us? What does he give us? Pathetic. Anyway, if you can drop your comments in on the live comments, and obviously we'll read them out. We'll get your feelings on the match and how you think it went. Who was your Newcastle man of the match? Because quite frankly, I haven't got one because we were shit from the word go. To me, not one of those players should score over a 5. Just to let you know, I will be doing a review video, a recorded one, but that'll be tomorrow morning. I wanted to do this live reaction tonight just to pick up people's thoughts on the game and where we went wrong. We went wrong from the start as soon as we kicked off, as far as I'm concerned. Save the Shark says, oh, we're about to see Angry Paul. Yes, we are. I'm absolutely fed up to the back teeth of Newcastle United Football Club. I really am. I'm fed up. And rightly so as well. We are just garbage at the minute. Andrew Watson, if Fulham win the next 2 games, Bruce needs to go, whether it be tonight or tomorrow. He needs gone. Totally correct, Andrew. And, you know, yes, we picked up a little bit the last couple of games. We've got better, no doubt about it. We've won a couple of games. But the writing's always been on the wall. It's not like we're going to improve or just get any better overnight with Steve Bruce in charge. It doesn't happen. And that was proved tonight with his substitutions. You know, we're chasing the game. We're 2-0 down. Dwight Gale, fair enough. Bring him off. He was just irrelevant tonight. Absolutely irrelevant from the word go. Poor performance from him. And then we see, you know, he brings Joe Linton on. Of all the players to bring on, he brings Joe Linton on. The manager has said numerous times that he can never understand, or he's been very upset as to why he's never been able to play ASM and Fraser in the same team. Now, over the last few weeks, he's had numerous times to do it, and numerous times he says no. You know, he then brings ASM off, and he puts on Fraser. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know, yes, Maxi had a poor game tonight, as they all did, but you do not take your best player off when you're chasing the freaking game. You're chasing the game, you want to win the game, and then bang, there you go. He takes off ASM and puts Fraser on. Why? Honestly, it's like Joe Linton there's something in his deal that he has to play a certain amount of minutes of football because he did fuck all when he came on that pitch. Absolutely fuck all. So frustrating. Paul Jackson says, I can't do this anymore. I don't blame you, Paul. Neither can I. It's absolutely hideous. What a load of shambolic elephant shit. Yep, totally agree. The whole thing just stinks to high heaven. Paul says he's so effing angry. You know, so am I. I'm more angry at the manager again because his substitutions are just garbage. Absolute garbage. There's nothing to say about those substitutions tonight. They were wrong in every single way. And then he decides to throw on Andy Carroll. I mean, the usual 15 minutes to go. We're struggling in the game. Let's bring on Andy Carroll. Let's just throw the big man up and we'll try and get something from that. Andy Carroll then just comes on and all he does is foul players. Pathetic. Jules, good evening, mate. Hope you're well. Paul says he's broke his TV. Well, I was lucky. I was upstairs. I was watching it on a laptop, so I didn't have the opportunity. I did think about throwing the laptop a few times. Sickly Cloud says, what are we on about? 2 wins in 14 games? Yeah, it's something like that. But I tell you what now, Scott Parker will have watched that game tonight, right? And he'll have thought, I'll tell you something. We have nothing to worry about with Newcastle United. They are the team that Fulham are going to target to pass to avoid relegation. And we play them on the last game of the season at Craven Cottage, and you just know because it's Newcastle United that we could be in a situation where we go to Fulham on the last game of the season and we need something from that game. You just know because it's Newcastle United. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Steve Bruce would probably play 5 at the back at Fulham just to avoid a defeat or try and avoid a defeat. But when he sets up the way he does, those players tonight had no motivation at all to win that game of football. Nothing at all. There was nothing on that pitch that said to me, these lads want to go out and win this football match. And that's what really pisses me off about tonight. The fact that, I'll say one thing as well, when that second goal went in, they showed a replay of the goal and in slow motion. And then the Newcastle players walking back to the halfway line. Jamal Lascelles, who is our captain, just put his head down and starts walking back to the halfway line instead of turning around to his players and clapping his hands and geeing up saying, come on, let's get our fingers out our asses here and do something about this. That's our captain. And his head's down, so what's the rest of the team going to be? There's no leadership on that pitch at all. None. Absolutely none. We are pathetic. Nutty, good evening. I didn't expect us to win, but we had nothing to give at all. Our wing-backs also played awful. Backwards. Yeah, it was. It was back to Bruce Ball tonight. And, you know, there is no doubt about that. It was Bruce Ball from the minute it kicked off. You know, we offered nothing. And I've seen some tweets in the second half with people saying, we've been a bit better second half. Bollocks, man. What are these people watching, right? We just do not threaten Chelsea's goal. And let's get one thing straight. Chelsea, right, are not a great side. You know, they're not this, all-conquering side that they were a few years ago. They are not a great side. And that's what really pisses me off. The fact that they were there to get at tonight. Alonso is brilliant going forward. He had a fantastic game for Chelsea going forward. But defending, he's just terrible. Azpilicueta has lost about 3 yards of pace over the years. Rudiger doesn't know what part of the pitch he plays on sometimes. But we made them all look fantastic defenders tonight. Again, this is what we do. We make people look fantastic. And enough's enough, man. Paul says we're in the shit. Couldn't agree more. Truls, Ashley and his pie face out. Well, yeah, I mean, Ashley is the main problem. We all know that. But at the moment, Steve Bruce is the manager. Ashley is trying to sell the club. We know he's trying to sell it. We can't ask any more. Just sell it. Get out. Go. Disappear off the face of the earth as far as we can care. However, Steve Bruce is the manager. And that guy, you cannot tell me that he does anything to inspire those players on the touchline. He stands there with his hands in his pockets, looking all pouty-faced again, and does nothing to motivate his players. Absolutely nothing. Somebody come on and tell me what he does to motivate them players. Because as soon as we went to goal down tonight, the heads went down. If they weren't already down before Chelsea scored the first goal. Hi, Thomas. Hope you're well. Obviously, just been on the watch along with John. Cheers. Andrew says, shite the rights. Yep, no doubt about it. Good evening, Stephen. Hope you're well after watching that pile of garbage. Troll says, really good to listen to this because I agree 100%. Do you know what? It does, thanks very much for agreeing. And I think, 98% of Newcastle fans will agree. There's no doubt about that. If you're a true fan, then you've got to be so angry at what you've just watched there tonight. And I know some fans don't get angry. Some just keep it contained. I don't. I'm not that type of person. I've watched Newcastle all my life, and I'm not going to sit and watch this dire crap without getting upset about it, because this is my football club we're talking about. This isn't just any Sunday League team that doesn't matter. This is Newcastle. We are better than that. Our fans deserve better than the crap we've had over 14 years with Mike Ashley. But these 19 months under Steve Bruce have just been absolutely horrible. I mean, horrible. The football is just atrocious. The attitude of some of the players. And the problem is, we've seen this before where we win one game and you think, oh my God, we've actually turned a corner here. And then all of a sudden, it goes to shit. We go on a run we can't win a game in about 6 or 7, and then we'll win another one, but then we'll go on another losing streak. The players just don't know whether they're coming or going, half of them. Ryan, good evening, mate. We need new fullbacks ASAP. Emil Kraft out. 100%. He was awful tonight. And, we all knew he was going to play simply because he's the only right back we've got. Okay, so if you look at Emil Kraft, Thomas Tuchel, without a shadow of a doubt, watched Emil Kraft in videos and studied him, because Chelsea kept coming right down their left-hand side to attack Emil Kraft from the very start. And Werner had an absolute sodden field day against him. He was beating him every time, every single time, and then cutting it across. I mean, Werner could have had a hatful of goals tonight. You know, he missed that one in the first half when the ball came across. He should have scored there. He had other opportunities. Obviously, he did score a goal, but he could have had a hatful. And, you know, Darlow as well. You know, some of the times he comes out, he's flapping at balls. He's pushing balls out into the middle where he should be pushing them away from goal. And the whole thing is just a farce. There's no communication in the defence at all. The goalkeeper doesn't say anything. The back four don't say anything to each other. And certainly Lascelles doesn't. He doesn't say anything to the team. And he's the sodden captain. What chance do we stand? Jake, good evening, mate. Just couldn't figure out Bruce's tactics. Looked like a Frankenstein plan with Jones's pushing up in the pitch, but Bruce's passing backwards and balls over the top, bizarre. Yeah, like I said before, it's gone back to Bruce ball. And that's what really pisses me off about tonight. We take a good performance in the first half against Southampton, a really good performance where we gave it everything. You know, we were on the attack, we were passing quickly, we were zippy in our play, but now we're back to bungle again. We've gone from zippy to bungle in 2 games, and it's just shit. Taylor, good evening. Maxi thought he could do everything. I must admit, you know, I did get a bit frustrated with Maxi tonight. There was a couple of occasions where I thought he could give an easier pass than he actually did. And sometimes he tries to do a little bit too much. But to be fair, do you blame the kid? You know, the problem is Maxi looks up and he sees maybe Almiron is a player of his ability, can cope with what Maximan wants to do. But he looks around the rest of the pitch and we've just got duds everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. There's nobody who can pick up the play that Maxi can. Maxi's thinking 3 seconds in front of him before he's even got the ball. But the rest of the players don't do that. Just there's nothing. There is nothing there. Eric says, we're going down on this form. I had this convo with Sam on Twitter earlier. Fulham have winnable games and are playing well. We are in the shite big time. Couldn't agree more. You know, this is where we have to worry about stuff now, because we are in the crap. 100% in the crap. You know, Fulham, like I said before, we'll look at this. They play their game in hand later on this week. And if they beat Burnley, their points gap is down to 4. It just goes down and down. And Fulham are playing much better football than Newcastle United are. And nobody can tell me otherwise, because you look at Newcastle and you look at Fulham, I'll tell you who the better side is, and it's not Newcastle. So let's get that one straight as well. We are in the shit. But Steve Bruce doesn't think we are. That's the main problem here. We have a manager who doesn't think we are in any relegation trouble at all, who just thinks we're fine. No bother, we're fine, no worries, don't worry about it, we're not in a relegation scrap. We sodden are. Guys, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I'm about 8 away from getting 1,000. Mean the world to us if I could hit that soon. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And do like the show if you're enjoying me having a rant as usual. Trull says, man of the match, Paul. Nobody from Newcastle United. I would say it was between, for me, Alonso or Werner for tonight's performances. Werner ran us ragged, but we knew that was going to happen. You know, the guy's been out of form for so long, and along comes Newcastle United, and he has a worldie. You know, so for me, you know, Werner or Alonso not for his defending, but for his forward play, I thought he was fantastic on the left-hand side for Chelsea tonight. David says, ASM man of the match for me. David, we didn't have a man of the match, mate. We were poor from the word go. We were all over the place. As I said earlier in the show at the start, I don't think anybody should be over a 5 tonight for Newcastle at all. Nobody stood out on that pitch. Nobody stood out with real belief. Nobody had any desire. You know, Miggy showed bits in the second half, you know, blasted over the bar and things like that. But we didn't have a player on that pitch that stood out, that said, I want to get the game by the scruff of its neck and go out and try and win. Nothing. Andrew said, man of the match, Jones on the sidelines. 100%. Joel says, Bruce is a coward as a manager. 100% agree. He is a coward. And he's a coward for 2 reasons. He's a coward because he won't play Fraser and ASM, despite the fact that he says he's never had the opportunity. But he's a coward for not doing that tonight. Major coward. And he's a coward because he won't walk. He thinks that this job he can't get fired from, and he's just going to stay, and he's dragging us down. He's dragging us down to Steve Bruce depths, which are Championship League One. And I tell you what, that is where we're heading, because we need to look over our shoulders and look over our shoulders very, very quickly, because this is just awful. Chippers, good evening, mate. No shots on target, playing 4-3-3 really is embarrassing. I think we had 2 shots on target. I know Shelby had one from a free kick, and there was a shot in the first half, but they didn't really, put Kepa under any major pressure. And this is the problem, you see. Dwight Gale was just non-existent, and I know a lot of people were shouting for Dwight Gale to come on and to start the game. But I've had my opinion over Dwight Gale for a long time now, and I think he's a championship striker. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough for the Premier League anymore, and that point was proved tonight. He did nothing. And what really frustrates me about Dwight Gale is he feels a breath of wind and he falls on his arse. He's always looking for free kicks when he should be standing up, fighting off defenders and actually trying to get past them. But he goes down too easily, and it's been a problem with him for a long time. But it's just so frustrating, really frustrating. Bruce out, 100%. Jake says, would have been better off playing Dubravka up front than Joe Linton. I mean, how many touches did Joe Linton actually have when he came on the pitch? There was once, I think I asked John when I was on his watch-along, and I said, has Joe Linton actually had a touch? And then all of a sudden, he's in the left-back position. And he's in the left-back position trying to dribble the ball out. And he lost it, funny enough. It just beggars belief how that guy gets on the pitch. He is not a Premier League footballer in a million years. I've got an 8-year-old son who would do a better job than him. And how does Steve Bruce think there's a player there? And he makes, Joe Linton the first substitution. As if that man is going to change the game for Newcastle. I'm sorry. No way is that going to happen. It's pathetic. Colin says, anybody think Kraft had a good game tonight? Best thing Carroll did was clean Joe Linton out in the last minute. Kraft was absolutely shambolic, Colin, if I'm honest. I mean, like I said earlier, Chelsea targeted him from the word go. I mean, they knew Werner could get at him, and boy, did he do that from the word go tonight. He was just all over him. And the frustrating thing with Kraft is he stands there and he's like, Werner's coming onto him, and he doesn't try and make Werner do anything. Werner's dictating everything to Kraft, and he gets past him nearly every single time. There's no tackles come in from Kraft. There's nothing. He just stands there and lets him go past. It's ridiculous. But this is the problem, you see, because we haven't. I said that the transfer window would come back to bite us in the arse. 100% bite us in the arse. And 100% it has come to bite us in the arse. Because we let Yedlin go when Kraft is the worst right back we've got. There was a chance that Kraft could have moved to Turkey, but no, we let Yedlin go. Manquillo then gets injured, and we stuck with him. And we're stuck with him now for as long as it takes. But for me, Murphy should come in at right back. He could do 100% better than that pile of crap. Honestly, it's just boiling me up watching those players pull on the black and white shirt and put performances on like this. A manager on the touchline who stands with his hands in his pockets with his stupid pouty face on all the time. What the hell? Chipper says, so fucked off. I get the feeling Jones did the setup and Bruce fucked him over being negative. You never know what happens, Chippers, to be honest. I mean, yes, we saw Graham Jones doing a lot of coaching on the sidelines again tonight, looking at obviously the tablets and looking at replays and things like that. But it didn't do us any good because nothing came of it. Absolutely nothing. And I'm sure Jones, in his own mind, would not have brought Joe Linton on first substitution of the game. Absolutely not. I mean, we could have given a penalty away as well very early on. You know, Tammy Abraham got injured. I didn't think it was a penalty at first, but then it's been slowed right down. And I'm looking at it thinking, I tell you what, when you really slow it down, it catches Abraham's first. It could have been a penalty. I've seen them given. So we got away with one there, but we didn't learn our lesson. You know, that was just a simple ball over the top as well. Just a simple ball. And we are just completely annihilated by an over-the-top ball. And the writing was on the wall from the word go. Jules says, hope you're well. Thanks, mate. Jason, good evening, mate. Carroll offside from a freaking goal kick. What's he thinking? That's just where we are now. I mean, I don't understand how these strikers can get offside from a goal kick. I really don't. It beggars belief that they are so lazy that they can't look along that line before a goal kick is taken to make sure they're onside. And let's face it, Andy Carroll did absolutely naff all when he came on. He gave so many free kicks away. And what really frustrated me tonight as well is the players losing the ball and then sort of whinging away as if like somebody's taking the ball off them in the playground. St. Maximin did it in the first half. Andy Carroll did it in the second, where he lost the ball and he's just whinging to the referee for a free kick, which never was. I mean, come on. These guys are supposed to be fighting for the club, fight to keep us in the Premier League. These guys have no fight. Because when the going gets tough on them, they just bottle it every single time. The players bottle it and the manager bottles it. Say the Shark says, why I still do this to myself, I have no idea. I think everybody's saying that tonight, to be honest, and most of the season. Why do we still do it? It's because we love the club. And the fact is that eventually Mike Ashley won't be there anymore. Steve Bruce won't be there anymore. And eventually it will feel like our club again. But at the minute, it doesn't. But a lot of us are just black and white blood through and through, and we will support the lads for as long as it takes. It's just frustrating to watch football like this at the minute. Ken, good evening. What did I say in that message I sent you on Friday, Paul? Steve Bruce useless, yes. Inept, yes. Clueless, yes. And I stand by my comments. That whole performance was fucking shocking. Couldn't agree more, Ken. Perfectly put. I mean, there was, like I say, if we go a goal behind or we go 2 goals behind, if we're trying, right, and we lose the game, but I see some effort and I see some desire to get something from the game, I'd be a happy man. Because I've seen my team work hard, and if we're beaten by the better team, fair enough. But we didn't give Chelsea a game tonight. We just let them win that game. And that's the frustrating thing. The fact that we bend over and take it up the arse all the time to these clubs when there's no reason, because we've got some decent players, but we just don't seem to click. We click once in a blue moon and then we go on a losing streak again. And it's just pathetic. Andrew says, I turned it off as soon as it went 2-0 down. Yeah, I've seen a few people do that, and I can't blame you for doing that. People don't want to watch that anymore. We all pay good money for season tickets, etc. when we can go to the ground. We pay money for our television and stuff like that. We want to be entertained, and we want to be entertained by our own club. Now, when you look at the lineup tonight, you're thinking, fair enough, he's going 4-3-3. We can't argue with that. He's going out to try and win the game. But the game kicks off, and we go into a shell, and we just don't look like we can score. We don't give the Chelsea back four a hard time, which we should have done from the start, because like I said earlier, their defenders are there to get at. But we didn't do that tonight. It was quite the opposite, actually. Their fullbacks were giving us hell. But, we can see it as fans, but Steve Bruce can't see it as a manager. And that's where the problem lies. Robert says they're getting paid for nout. Too right they are, Robert. Too right. Paul says Newcastle Fans TV said we were good in the second half. These people are effing mad. Look, everybody's going to have a different opinion, all right? Newcastle Fans TV, I know the lads on there. They're good lads. And, everybody's not going to agree with what people say. People might watch this show on the rerun or live and they say, well, he's talking shite. Fair enough. I don't mind that. People will have opinions. I don't think we were better in the second half, personally, because we didn't test Kepa. This is a goalkeeper who has been awful since he came to Chelsea, who is unreliable and very unsteady. There was one time in the first half that was a long ball came over and Kepa came chasing out his box for no reason. He was never, ever going to get to the ball at all. But luckily, he had cover there and it just died out. It fizzled away. But we didn't test him. We didn't test a goalkeeper who has struggled all season and ever since he's come into English football. That says it all for me, that we didn't test him, we didn't give it a good enough go, and we end up looking like fools. But I disagree with Newcastle Fans TV when they say we were better in the second, we were good in the second half. Maybe we were a little bit better than the first half, but we weren't good. You can't say good. I think we were better than the first half without a shadow of a doubt, because we were god awful first half, but second half, little bit better, but still awful. Not good enough for me. So, I don't think you can class it as good. No way. Jimmy, good evening, mate. It's painful watching Shelby trying to keep up in midfield. He looks lost every week. Damn right. Couldn't agree more, Jimmy. And that is where the substitution for me went wrong. He takes Willock off, who is our box-to-box midfielder, who was really looking like our only attacking threat tonight, to be fair. He had a couple of opportunities. He had a header, and he takes him off. Our box-to-box midfielder, and he leaves Shelby and Hayden on. Hayden was quiet tonight as well, but Shelvey, for me, the game passes him by, and he's just strolling around in midfield for no apparent reason. He could have changed it. Instead of bringing Willock off, he could have took Shelvey off and left Willock on the pitch to help out maybe for the last 10, 15 minutes going forward. But this is Steve Bruce we're talking about, and we know exactly what kind of guy he is. Andrew, the sale of this club not happening if we go down. We've always said that. The fact is Mike Ashley is really, really now dicing with death, really, when it comes to Newcastle United. He really is. We are on such a fine thread, because if we do go down, he will lose a lot of money. He'll still probably want to sell the club, no doubt about that. I mean, no doubt. But the amount of money that he will lose if we go down, because even if the Saudis still wanted to buy us, they are not going to buy us for the same price that they were going to pay for a Premier League team. Absolutely no chance. And when any new owners look at that team tonight, they'll think, Jesus Christ, what are we trying to invest in? Reese, good evening. Pretty scary now, seeing the way we play, then seeing the way Fulham play. They're improving and playing great football. Can't take any more Bruce ball. Yeah, we said it before, Reese, to be honest. Fulham are the better football team out of the two. If anybody watches Fulham lately and watches Newcastle United, they'd think that it was Newcastle United in the relegation zone and not Fulham. They are playing far better football, and bringing Josh Madger in just might be that magic touch that Scott Parker needs. Winning the other night at Everton, I mean, that was fantastic for them. Fulham haven't won at Everton, I don't think, ever in the Premier League until then. It just says it all, how much they want it more than Newcastle United. And that's what it's going to boil down to, because we've got a team in Fulham who are playing great football, who want to get out of the trouble they're in and want to survive and want to have a bit of ambition. We've got Newcastle United on the other side of the coin, who are failing miserably in every aspect of the football pitch at the minute. Yes, we've had some decent results lately, picking up a win at Everton, picking up the win against Southampton, but that Palace result might come back to bite us in the arse. It really will. Nathan says, need to start Carroll. Gill is not up for the battle. Even Joe Linton put in a job when he came on. I'm not sure about Joe Linton, mate, but I agree. Carroll is a better option than Dwight Gale. I mean, he will cause you trouble, but he didn't out when he came on. This is the problem. We didn't go and get a cover in the transfer window, a good enough striker to cover Callum Wilson. And there was always the possibility that Callum Wilson was going to get injured. Always the possibility we were going to be left in trouble. And it's hit us at the wrong time when Fulham are finding form. We aren't. We've gone back to Bruce Ball for some strange reason. And for me, I can't understand why. I just can't. But, hey-ho. Stephen says, utter shite that was tonight. Back to Bruce Ball. 100%. Jason, is there anything in the rule book that prevents us from actually building a brick wall on our goal line so we can at least pick up a point? No, unfortunately not. I mean, the only brick wall that I want back in that goal is Dubravka. I think the time is now, and the time is right now. He's got to play against Manchester United. He's got to. If anything, it's because he's more vocal. He shouts at the defenders. The defenders have faith that when he's going to come and get that ball, he will get the ball and he will catch it. Darlow's coming out. He's not vocal enough. He's not punching. He's not catching the ball. He's punching it. He's flapping, and he looks all over the place. And I think he's feeling the pressure at the moment. Dubravka's breathing down his neck to get back in the side, and that's the problem. Paul said, "Don't start Carroll," but again, everybody's going to have their own opinion on who should start. Personally, tonight, I would have just stuck Fraser on the right-hand side, ASM on the left, and Miggy in the number 10 false 9 role. I don't see a reason to change that. Those three, for me, could have done more damage than what we did, because Dwight Gale offered us absolutely nothing tonight. Absolutely nothing. Andrew says, shocking. Ian says, carrying Shelvey again, walks around the pitch with his head down, awfully lazy. Yeah, he is. He's one of the laziest players, but is it because the game is now catching him up? You know what I mean? He's just not quick enough now. It's passing him by very, very quickly. Good evening, Andrew. Hope you're well. Paul says, get rid of Carroll, Slow Linton, Gale and Kraft. There's a lot of players need to go. And I think when the time comes in the summer, we've got to have a mega clear out. Takeover or no takeover, this club needs to be just gutted from top to bottom. Absolutely gutted from top to bottom. There's so many players there who don't deserve to be called a Premier League footballer as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely no way. Peter, good evening, mate. He'll be on my show tomorrow night. Don't forget to catch that. The Four Horsemen of the Toon. It'll be on at 8 o'clock on this channel. So do set a reminder for that. Brilliant, brilliant show. Great banter on there. And I think, judging by tonight's performance, it's going to be a bit of an angry one. Go and follow PD Proudbook's channel as well. He's also trying to get up to 1,000. So help him with that, guys. He says, Kraft and Lewis were the worst tonight. Their fault for the goals. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've said my piece on Kraft. I just think he's awful. I think he's absolutely awful. The problem is with Lewis, the game passes him by. He's very static at times. His tackling's all over the place, and his clearances. Wow. I mean, some of his clearances tonight were all over the place. It was terrible. Ryan says, we'll make Lindelof look world class next week when he's the worst centre back this season. I think they both are. I think Harry Maguire is so slow. He's got the turning circle of an oil tanker, him. And I really think we can get at him. But again, it's how we're going to set up Ryan. You know, I can't second guess Steve Bruce. I don't know what he's going to do. You know, the fact of the matter is, you know, he could put the same team out for all we know. But I think it desperately needs to come out with some sort of different attitude against Man United. Because if we play like that, Man United will destroy us. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Hashtag Zippy the Bungle. Yeah, thanks very much. Jay says, players just don't talk. Lascelles a poor captain. Yep, 100% agree. You've got to consider that Lascelles, you know, that really, really did piss me off when that second goal went in and we saw Lascelles just walking away, head down. You know, this guy is supposed to be captain. We're supposed to have a leader on the pitch and there just wasn't one there. It was just shocking. Thomas says Barnsley did better. Yeah, Barnsley put up a much better fight than we did against Chelsea, and that's really embarrassing, isn't it? Really, really embarrassing. Andrew says I stopped listening to it. People stopped listening to it. People went out. People went for a walk. People went to walk the dog or wash the dishes more than want to watch Newcastle United, and that's how bad it was tonight. Back to Bruce Ball. Good evening, Ryan. Hope you're well, mate. Trill says, if Ashley owns us next year, I'm only checking results. Can't take Ashley area anymore. You'll not be the only one, Trulls, to be honest. Jay says, who were the fans who said better second half? Jesus Christ. Apparently it was Newcastle United TV, fans TV, who said that we were good in the second half. Like I said, I think we were better than the first half. I don't think we were good, simply because we didn't test Kepa. And for me, that says it all. When we don't test a keeper who's been absolutely terrible since he's arrived in England. Kenneth says Sheffield United, West Brom, then us. Fulham aren't bottlers and have a good manager. Yeah. Fulham could have just said, you know, bottled it completely. You know, they were miles away from anybody earlier in the season, but they fought the way back. They've got back to where they want to be, and now they're in with a shout at catching us. They'll be the ones that have the confidence, not us. And the problem is, we've got Steve Bruce. That's where the problem lies straight away. I think Darlow shouldn't have conceded that first goal. I said that when I was doing the watch along on John's channel. I thought it was a very, very, very soft goal. The ball comes across and he just puts a hand out and it goes straight to Giroud. He didn't seem to try and put any direction on it or even smother the ball. This is what the problem is with Darlow. He doesn't catch crosses, and when they're low to the ground, he sort of just flicks them away or tries to flick them away rather than maybe getting his body wrapped around the ball and holding it. So, yeah, that was a problem as well, which is why I really do think Dubravka needs to come back. Dylan says, I think we missed Hendrick. You must be having a laugh, mate. Dylan, are you being sarcastic there? Please do comment and say you're being sarcastic. David says, what do you think of Willock's comments on would he like to stay? You never know with players on loan, do you? I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I guess I'm just waiting till the summer to find out what happens with Willock. I'd like him to, you know, when I first heard he was coming on loan, I was led to believe the deal was going to be for 18 months and not just for the rest of the season. So I think there's going to be an option there for him to come next season, maybe again on loan. But we'll see in the summer. We'll see what Arsenal want to do as well. Jake says, can't help but feel Bruce is tightening his grip on the squad again after the death threats and capitalised on the recent good results to re-establish his power after Jones grabbed plaudits. For me, it would be something that Steve Bruce would do, to be honest. I think he's that kind of bloke. I've lost a lot of respect for Steve Bruce this season with his little sly comments at the fans, etc. I don't agree with half the stuff he said. And it's like copy and paste when you watch his press conferences. He just talks utter bollocks most of the time. Aidan says, why take ASM off and put Carroll on? It's, if Fraser came on for ASM, and I don't understand that substitution. I don't understand the first one, bringing Joe Linton on. I would have had Fraser on instead and gone for it and maybe bring Carroll on later. Have Fraser on one side, ASM on the other, both cutting in at Aspilicueta, cutting in on Alonso as well, and give them something to think about. But we didn't do that tonight. We give them nothing to think about, nothing to worry about. It was just... But Aidan, again, those players are not good enough, period, whatever manager is in. Yeah, I agree, but I do think we need a manager who may install a bit of discipline and put a rocket up these guys' arses. Someone like Nigel Pearson, who doesn't take any crap. He comes on and he's 100% winner. He wants to win games. He wants to be successful. And for me, I think somebody like Pearson has to take a lot of credit for Leicester winning the league. He gave them belief. They were gone and dusted at Christmas, and he got them out the relegation zone. He got them fighting, and he got them up the table. And someone like that, for me, just screams out a perfect opportunity to bring in somebody like Pearson until, the takeover is sorted either way. Andrew, have got to beat West Brom. It's a must-win now. I don't even want to think about Man United. Man United is going to be a tough game. I mean, they're so hit and miss this season as well. You have to remember their form is not good at Old Trafford at all this season. It's been very poor. Sheffield United went there recently and beat them. But on the flip side of that, we're Newcastle United and we make everybody look like friggin' Barcelona at the moment. So it's going to be a tough game. It is going to be a tough game. But, the problem is we went out tonight and we went out there with no motivation and no desire, and we ended up losing the game. Pitiful, pitiful performance. If we do that against Man United, they'll probably thump us. The players like Cavani and Rashford and Greenwood, etc., they'll be looking at us thinking, we can really get at them, really get at them. The defenders just aren't switched on, and that is going to be a really, really tough game. But beyond that, we've then got Wolves. Wolves looked as if they were having a really, really tough time. Then they went and beat Southampton last night in a brilliant performance, or yesterday, whenever it was. So Wolves are starting to play. So we can't take anything for granted at the minute that we're going to get any points, period, in the next few weeks. I think the next 4 to 5 games are going to be crucial, and we'll see where we're at in 5 games' time. But I have a feeling, we could be very, very close to the relegation zone in 5 games' time. Ryan, good evening again, mate. Only thing I remember from Joe Linton is him passing backwards. Says it all, really. Jay says, are you spot on, Paul? Thanks, mate. Say the Sharks, when are we going to see change, do you think, Paul? I don't know, mate. I really don't know. As for the takeover, I don't want to hear anything about the takeover until it's done and dusted. And I see Amanda Staveley in the middle of that pitch with a black and white bra waving above her head, saying, yes, we own the club now. Everything is going to change. You fans are going to be taken notice of. It's going to be your club again. It's going to be a family club again. It's going to be a city club. We're going to do so much to this. I only want to hear about it when it's done. All these playing spotters, etc. I don't pay any attention to, or the certain businessmen in certain countries at the same time. What does that mean? It doesn't mean shit. It really doesn't. So I'd rather just wait until something is done, sealed, signed, delivered, and we have new owners. Emil Crap, yeah, that seems to be his new nickname going around. Andrew said Kraft should just get a job at IKEA. 100%. He'd probably mess that up as well, to be fair. Truls, Emil Scrap heap, maybe. What do you think about Sturridge? The problem is with Sturridge, and I tweeted this out, the Newcastle United would be interested in Sturridge, and then I was reminded that we don't have any room in the 25-man squad, so it's pointless bringing Sturridge in for the rest of the season because the squads have been put in now, and we can't change the squad. We have named our 25-man squad for the rest of the season, so even if we did bring Sturridge in on a free, we couldn't get him in the squad, so it would be pretty pointless. Nutty says Bruce needs to realise the privileged position he's in these times of COVID-19. Lockdowns have been difficult for lots of people, and I want Bruce to realise that he should try harder for the fans. This is what has got me, Nutty, to be honest. This whole thing about the fans not being there, I think Bruce is getting away with blue murder. If I'm honest, I think he's getting away with so much, and it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't happen. If the fans were in that ground now, there's no way that Steve Bruce would still be manager, because the atmosphere in the ground would have been worse than it was with Kinnear, worse than it was with McLaren, worse than it was with Pardew at the end. It would be absolutely toxic inside St James's Park. So, yes, I do think 100% that he's taken advantage of COVID by the fact that he can make these remarks and stuff about the fans and not have to pay the consequences because he doesn't have to face them. And that's very sly of Steve Bruce, and that's why I've lost a lot of respect for him. You know, all this like nice guy stuff. He's just not. He really isn't. Andrew says, I would rather have Emil Heskey. I'll tell you what, Emil Heskey could probably do a better job at right back than Emil Kraft. YouTube Epic and UFC says, I didn't even notice we was playing. That's how much I care until Bruce is gone, except we're relegated at the end of the season. Bruce will drag us so far down if he stays. There is no doubt in my mind, right, that if we are relegated this season, we are not coming straight back. We don't have the facilities anymore. We don't have somebody like Rafa that can bring the players that we need to get promoted in anymore. We don't have that kind of setup, you know, and Steve Bruce is not the man to get us promoted. He can't motivate this team anymore. He just can't. I've said all along, even through the wins that we've had, that Steve Bruce cannot motivate this team. And it's so sad, but that's the fact of reality now. We haven't got a man on the touchline or on the pitch, to be fair. There is no leaders. I mean, I've said all along that Isaac Hayden should be captain. I didn't see him very vocal tonight either, to be fair, but heads were dropped very quickly tonight and we just couldn't get back into the game. But the leadership is just severely lacking in this team, massively lacking. Louis says, what an absolute pile of horse shite. We need to get rid of Steve Bruce now. Said it all in one sentence. Ryan, did Steve Bruce even look at the replays on the tablet at all? No. And, you know, I mean, he may well have done. I mean, the cameras aren't on Steve Bruce 24 hours a day during the match. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to judge that. But when you do go to the touchline, it always seems to be Steve Bruce standing there next to Steve Agnew. He's got his hands in his pockets and he's just looking glum-faced all the time. You know, there's no real sort of aggression to put some fire in the bellies of the players, you know, and that's what we want to see from a manager. We want to see some aggression on the sidelines. We don't see that from Steve Bruce. And you know, it's fair enough that Jones is in the background. He's on his tablet. He's you know, telling the substitutes where they should be and things like that. But Steve Bruce is the manager. He has to give these players some sort of direction. He's certainly not doing it in the dressing room before they go out before a game. Because if that's us motivated tonight, going out there, then we are in big trouble, because there was no way in God's earth that team was motivated to get anything tonight. James says we'll survive by a hair. Regardless of what owner we have next season, Bruce has to go. Excuse me. I am confident that we'll stay up. You know, I have said this. But on that performance tonight, if that's how we are going to play for the rest of the season, then I may have to change my opinion on that, because I think we were in big trouble if we play like that. Absolutely massive trouble. Dylan says, I actually miss Hosselu. He was actually decent. Yeah, I mean, Hosselu could probably do a better job than Joe Linton. I don't think, obviously, he's as good as Callum Wilson is at all. I think what we miss from Callum Wilson is hold-up play. He's really strong on the ball. He makes brilliant runs. He knows where to be in the penalty area. And we don't have another striker like that. You know, Dwight Gale is not that man. And he's just not. If you look at Dwight Gale's stats, it just proves that he's so much better in the Championship. I don't know why that is. You know, the Championship is very, very physical. It's not as fast as the Premier League, but it's very, very physical, probably more physical than the Premier League. So, you know, I just think he's better suited to that. Thanks very much for all your comments tonight, by the way. It's a fantastic audience tonight. I'm really pleased with that. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do hit the subscription button and hit the like button if you've enjoyed the show. I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. I was hoping to get there in the next few days. And with your help, I can do. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you like what you see, hit subscribe. Thanks very much. We'll move on again. Nat says, Lewis will do well one day, but had ASM in front of him. I had big hopes for these two, actually. You know, you look at the opening game of the season and you see at West Ham, they were combining well. Lewis was getting forward. He was, you know, nice little 1-2s with ASM. And then it just seemed to go off the boil, which is a little disappointing, really, because he's not being coached right. That is clear. You know, the guy is a young kid and he needs nurtured. He needs guidance on his tackling. His positional play needs to be better, you know, but that all comes from coaching and experience. So I do think there's a player in there. I watched him for Norwich last season and thought he was very good. So there's no reason he can't come good for Newcastle. It's just at the minute, he hasn't got time to get to blend in, to nurture. We need him good, and we need him good now. That's the main thing. David says, was hard to sit through tonight. totally agree. It's painful. It's painful. It's not just hard to sit through. It's actually painful watching this play so badly and without any sort of desire. Jay says these players don't care. Some of them do. Some of them do, Jay. I do genuinely believe that some of them care. Some of them don't. I think some of them are just happy to pick the wages up, happy to be on the pitch, but they don't really care where Newcastle United end up. And that's half the problem. Because if the players don't care where we end up, we've got no chance. Aidan says, this is McLaren version 2. We are going down. Ashley will leave this club at best in the Championship. You know what it is? It is McLaren Part 2. Mike Ashley waited far too long to pull the trigger on Steve McLaren. And, you know, he brought in Rafa, but it was too late for Rafa to work his magic. But we came back up the next season. This time around, he's dicing with a lot of things. He's dicing with relegation. If he doesn't pull the trigger short, he gets some fresh impetus into this team, fresh new ideas, a manager who is going to be installing discipline in this team and will settle for nothing less than 100% on the pitch, which is, we're not settling for that at the minute. Steve Bruce is just settling for average. We need a manager in who will not settle for anything but 100%. And if we do go down, Ashley's going to lose millions from the takeover. So he's dicing with so many different things this time around to what he was when McLaren was here. Michael says, was never convinced by Yedlin defensively, but why let him go and keep Kraft? Bruce wasted transfer window and not getting another left back. I said this on my review videos and I've said it on my various shows. I do believe that the transfer window was going to come to bite us in the arse. I didn't think it would bite us this quickly after closing, to be honest. But I thought we should have got somebody in to cover centre forward, left back and right back. I think the decision to let Yedlin go was crazy because of, you know, I think Yedlin, he's not as good as Manquillo, but he is a better player than Emil Kraft. I'd rather have Yedlin than Kraft any day of the week. So for me, it should have been Kraft to let go. I know there was interest from Turkey for Emil Kraft, so I don't know why we didn't let him go and keep Yedlin. Kendo says we played 3 false 10s and not one single number 9. Gale's over 30 and past his best from the Championship. Couldn't agree more. I think that's the problem with with a lot of these players, to be honest. They're past the best. You know, if you look at most of the squad, a lot of these were part of our Championship win inside a few seasons ago, and they're just past it now. They can't keep up with the Premier League. It's too fast for them. But hey ho, Ryan says Newcastle may as well be on the Pornhub at this point. Well, nobody would watch them on there either, to be fair, would they? They're that bad. I mean, it would be terrible viewing. Jake says, really don't want you lot to go down. Worst thing for us would be Fulham, another London club to survive. We need as many northern clubs in the top flight as possible. Jake is a Leeds fan, follows the channel. So, yeah, I agree, Jake. We need as many northern clubs back up in this top division as we can, because we know there's a lot of southern bias, especially on the likes of Sky and the radio stations and things like that. So, yeah, the more northern clubs, the better, without a shadow of a doubt. Kendo says Fraser was the only one who could cross into the box. He was on for literally a few seconds and he put a lovely ball in for Willock. And that's why I don't understand why he just didn't put him on the other side instead of Joe Linton. It was just a waste of a substitution. And I've always said when we have Joe Linton on the pitch, it's like we're playing with 10 men. It's just bizarre. Jack says after 1-0 down, there was no point in watching. The game was already gone. Our heads just dropped so soon. And I was really surprised by that, especially by the way we played lately. And then suddenly the heads just go down after conceding a goal. It's bizarre. It really is. Torture porn, yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. Love this passion, Paul. Yeah, thanks very much. Nat. You know, people that watch my channel now, people that are subscribed, know how I am. You know, if I see a good performance, I'll say it. If I see a poor one, I'll be annoyed. But if I see us get beat and we play well, or we've tried to get something from the game, it's not half as bad. But when I see performances like that tonight, it's absolutely bullshit. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, you know, we were slightly better in the second half or we played good in the second. No, nothing like that. We lost. We didn't give Chelsea a game at all. We sat off. We let Chelsea cruise to a 2-0 win tonight. Could have been more because we didn't offer shite. We didn't offer shite against Kepa in the second half. And that's the problem. That's the problem I have, that we just didn't do anything to trouble this goalkeeper tonight. Michael says, wish I had a bet on Werner to score. Anyone out to score. We said this before the game, to be honest, Michael. I said it on John's watch along with him. You know, just watch Werner will go and score and he'll have a really good game. And he did. He tore a new arsehole out of Kraft. There is no doubt about it. He was all over him. And it was just pathetic to watch Kraft. His defending is just so bloody awful, man. Absolutely awful. It was a dull second half. It was. You know, we didn't. I mean, yeah, we played slightly better, but we didn't threaten anything. We didn't get stuck into them. You know, we didn't make any really, hard tackles from the midfield to win the ball back. In the first half, they were walking through our midfield like there was nobody there. I mean, what is that all about? Seriously. Ken says, Fulham have a game in hand and we are doomed, Paul. What do you think? I agree, Ken. I think if Fulham win this game in hand against Burnley later on in the week, it closes the gap to 4 points. That is serious pressure on there. Now, we know what it's like when a team slips down towards the relegation zone, the panic sets in. You can see the panic on the pitch. Everything just goes to pot. And I really hope it doesn't, but it's going to be very, very tight. Very tight. John says, Bruce and them two clowns he calls coaches are the worst ever, without a shadow of a doubt. Ian says, somehow I knew Werner would score. Yep, I think everybody did. Kendall says, glad Bruce didn't play 5 to 10 at the back. No idea why Willock was taken off and Matty not given a chance again. The long staffs, I've said my piece on there. I think some kind of falling out's gone on. He just doesn't seem to have any faith in the Longstaff brothers. He doesn't want to give them an opportunity. Personally, I think Sean should have gone out on loan in the January transfer window. I think that would have done him the world of good. Maybe drop down the Championship, get regular first-team football, and try and find a bit of that spark back. Matty, on the other hand, I just don't know. He's just not getting thought of anymore. He really isn't. Kenneth says probably took Willock off as game was done and didn't want to get him injured. I can kind of agree with that, Kenneth, but on the other flip side of that, we're 2-0 down. The game wasn't exactly gone. There was still 15 minutes or 20 minutes left if you include injury time. We could have got back into the game. I just think the wrong substitutions were made at the wrong time. And again, he's made to be look a fool with his substitutions because they were terrible and they cost us the game. Jules says Ashley is a fucking idiot. We all know that. We've all had our piece on Ashley. Robert says didn't see the game tonight. See the result, but how did you? Okay, Fulham looked a mid-table team last night. Yeah, Fulham looked a really good side. They've made some good signings. But Scott Parker's an astute manager. He really is, and we're in trouble. They are catching us, and like I said earlier, they will look at us as the side to catch without a doubt. Andrew says Joe Linton is the worst Premier League striker of all time. He has a touch like a pregnant soft. Yeah. Bruce just said we was a lot better in the second half, said we got after them and many positives. I knew he would say this, and this is a reason I don't listen to the man anymore, because you just know what this buffoon is going to come out and say. I knew at full time before I came on here what Bruce would say. I knew we were slightly better in the second half, but we weren't good. But he would use that second half and say, we were a lot better and there was a lot of positives. Bullshit. What positives are coming from this performance? There wasn't one positive on that pitch tonight. So don't tell me that Steve Bruce, do not tell me that there were positives from that game. Really? What a shambolic and embarrassing thing to say on television. You absolute muppet. NUSA Magpie says we need to get Graham Jones where Steve Bruce is and Steve Bruce out of our club. I honestly hate Steve Bruce. He's a twat. If Graham Jones got appointed head coach, I'll tell you now we will win games. I was a bit apprehensive about Graham Jones coming in, at the start. But, I've watched him. I've watched what he does. And, I wouldn't mind him till the end of the season. If we got rid of Bruce and Jones stepped up to the plate, I think he'd get the respect of the players as well, which I don't think Steve Bruce has. At all. Michael says, with Wilson out, would you consider recalling Muto? The problem is we can't. Our squad is full. We've got a 25-man squad. We can't do anything about anything now till the end of the season. So unfortunately, Michael, we're stuck with what we've got. Jake says it was the least attacking 4-3-3 I've ever seen. Couldn't agree more. Will Fulham catch you? Says Anthony Martial. Yes, at the minute they will. Certainly the way they're playing to how we're playing, there is no doubt in my mind that Fulham are the better side out of the two at the moment, and that is a huge worry. Geordie says, just watch Fulham catch up to us. Exactly. This is the problem, and it's Newcastle United through and through, and we got relegated. Remember the Aston Villa fiasco? It's just Fulham on the last day of the season. You just know with it being Newcastle what's going to happen. John says we're only wasting time and money supporting Newcastle when Clown Bruce played some positives. We're in 17th in the league. I know he keeps saying positives, yet we're 17th and only 7 points clear of the relegation zone. I do not find one positive in this football club at the moment. There isn't one. There isn't a single positive. And this man needs to open his eyes and see into reality instead of looking backwards. He's just so inept. He's just crazy. The man is just, he boggles my mind with what he comes out with. There's just no positives there. Colin says, Bruce just said the players are enjoying the way we play. Can somebody point out this clown that we wear black and white shirts? Can't stand this fool. Colin, I agree 100%. And I'm sorry, but said the players are enjoying the way we play. Not tonight. You can't tell me there was one player on there that enjoyed themselves tonight, because they were absolutely shambolic, every single one of them. You know, normally if we lose a game, there's always a couple of players that maybe stand out a lot more than the others. Not one of them tonight. Not a single one. Geordie says, Bruce surely has to go. We can't afford Fulham to catch us up when at the moment we have 7 points gap. Fulham will catch us. If we play like this, Fulham will catch us, and catch us very quickly. Thomas, Bruce out. Hit the like. Thank you very much. Yes, please do. If you're enjoying the show, we're going to end it shortly anyway, but if you're enjoying it, do hit the like button, please. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. I do a lot of live streams on here now, previews, reviews. Very, very passionate about Newcastle United and football in general, to be honest. So if you are new, you haven't subscribed yet, do hit the subscription button. It means the world to us. It really does. Kendo says, wish Parker well at Fulham, but not at our expense. It may well be, Kendo, and that's what we just have to keep thinking. Got to get Dubravka back. Well, yes, it has to be. And so many people, there's Geordie saying it as well. You know, how does Steve Bruce not see this? Jake says, Giroud, of all people, shouldn't have been unmarked in the middle of the box to begin with. Exactly. He just stood on the penalty spot. There was nobody around him. And we've conceded so many goals like that lately, where there's just nobody around, and they've got the freedom of the football pitch just to score. You know, we saw with Cahill's header against Crystal Palace, he had the freedom of St James's Park just to walk in and nod the ball in the net. It's just shambolic. Dylan says, yeah, I'm being sarcastic, obviously. I thought you were, mate. Truls laughing again. Jason said, if we keep showing the same resilience as we have in the last month or so, we'll be okay. Steve Bruce believes he has seen enough from his Newcastle side recently to stay in the Premier League. Steve Bruce says this every interview he does, that he's seen enough, I've seen enough. But every time he sees enough, we are pathetic the next game. And, you know, it's been the case of Newcastle for most of the season. You know, we'll win one game and then we'll lose about 6 or 7. We cannot afford to do that now, or we will be relegated. You know, it's not rocket science. Daniel says, Steve Bruce, get out of our club. Ethan, seems Big Jamal has gotten away with a lot today. Yeah, he did, to be fair. I think he was all over the place. But that has been Jamal Lascelles for a long time. I think the tackle in the first half, I think, was a good tackle, if I'm honest. You know, I think it wasn't a penalty, but he did get away with a lot more, and his marking was terrible again tonight. I've been saying for a long time now that Jamal Lascelles isn't one of our starting 2 centre-backs, should never be first on the team sheet, but he is. Steve Bruce seems to love him just because he's captain, I guess. But he's not a captain either. That's the problem. Geordie says, Bruce keeps saying he wants to play SM and Fraser together, but we're yet to see it. That's what really annoys me, to be honest. He whinges that he's never had a chance to play them, but the last few games he's had the opportunity and he doesn't do it. He substitutes one for the other. This is why he's so inept. He's pathetic, right? This is what he says after games, pre-match press conferences. Well, you know, I want to play them. And he's got the opportunity. He never does because he's scared. Joe says, who do you play up next game, Paul? It's a good question. For me, against Manchester United, I would play Andy Carroll because I think Lindelof and Maguire are there to get at. And I think if we can put balls into the box against those two, Andy Carroll will have a chance to score goals. I'm under no illusion of that. I've watched Man United a lot this season, and Lindelof and Maguire are not good defenders. You know, the fact that Man United paid 80 million quid for Harry Maguire is just laughable. It's just laughable. So I would go with Andy Carroll. Jody says Lascelles is overrated, 100% agree. The Big Toon chat says, looking forward to tomorrow eve. But that was shocking performance and wonder why Steve Bruce is even there when Graham Jones does all the talking and tactics. Exactly. And he's talking about the show tomorrow, The Four Horsemen of the Toon. If you've never seen it before, it's a great show with me, John Sinclair, Barry and Peter. It's a great show. It's great banter. We get everybody on in the live comments. We have a good laugh, but we also talk seriously about Newcastle as well. And I think it'll be quite a heated discussion tomorrow night. Just to let you know, I will be doing a recorded review of the match as well, my thoughts and player ratings. So that'll be out tomorrow lunchtime-ish. I think I'll record it in the morning. By the time it's all edited, it'll be round about lunchtime. So keep an eye open for that as well. Jake says, why is Bruce talking about resilience? It wasn't resilience that got you good results. It was attacking football. Well said. But this is Steve Bruce through and through. Dumb thing is when you get a draw against Man United, we play like that tonight, Paul. There's no chance of getting a draw. We'll get hammered. Ian says, if we go down, which now looks likely, Piff are walking away. They want a Premier League team, not a Championship mess. Well, that's what Mike Ashley's risking, isn't he? He's dicing with death with this. He really is. Neto again against Wolves, he's going to cause us problems without a shadow of a doubt. Do you think Lascelles is our worst captain that we have had in the Premier League era? He offers an out on the pitch. I think that's something that would need to be sort of thought about, when the international breaks are on and stuff like that, Geordie. I'm going to do sort of a best Newcastle 11 and things like that and have a chat about the best and the worst. Joel says Bruce has the biggest ego he has, but he thinks he's untouchable because the fans aren't there. Ian says, not Darlow's fault, the first goal, our fullback fell asleep again. Everybody's going to have a different interpretation of it, Ian, but I agree with you as well. Our fullback was awful. Just non-existent, really. George, it's actually more pleasurable to go track aircraft and yachts than it is to watch Bruce Paul. That's a good point, actually. Andrew says, as always, Ashley will leave things till late to sack Bruce as last time. Yeah, I said that before. I think that's what he's risking, isn't it? Michael says, if the takeover happened, would you take 5 years of progression on and off the field, getting higher in the league up to a top 10 team, at least, or win a cup in those 5 years and being consistent? I'd like the takeover to happen. I'm not savvy to all this stuff about us getting taken over and suddenly signing these world-class footballers. I think if we do get taken over, they'll build it slow, which is fine. At least there'll be progression, at least there'll be ambition, and at least we'll have a chance. That's what we really need. Anyway, I'll finish these comments off before the end of the show. Ryan says, what's Cashley waiting for? It's clear we had in one direction. Jory, the coaching staff are putting the halftime refreshments in when they are on the tablets. Yeah. Tablet for Bruce. Congrats on 1K. So I'm not sure I've hit it yet. I may well have. I'm not sure. But thank you anyway, Jake. Jules, stay safe, Paul, and the rest. Yeah, you too, mate. I've got 1,000 subscriptions. Well, that's fantastic. Live on air as well. I've hit the 1,000. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a long, hard slog because, as you know, I did have a YouTube channel about 3 or 5 years ago, which I did have over 3,500 subscribers to. I thought it was doing really well. I really wanted to grow it. I suddenly got a long-term illness, and then I got a lot of online trolling, and I decided to stop. I shouldn't have done, but I did. But it's fantastic that I'm starting to, get noticed again and build the channel again, which is awesome because everybody can see how passionate I am about Newcastle United and football, and that's what I want to do: entertain people, give people information, and it's nice that people enjoy the shows. So thank you very much. It's you guys that make me want to do this. So hats off to you all. Jetro and ASM awesome on that left. Yes, there were, and that's what I was pissed off about in the transfer window. The fact that we didn't bring Jetro back. Steve Bruce, you can get lost. I'm not even going to read that. Joel says Bruce out. He's got no clue. Last few now. We need favours. Yes, Steve, we do. We need a lot of favours. Brian says, let's hope it doesn't come down to the last game. I'm praying it doesn't, Brian, because it'd be typical Newcastle United if that happens, isn't it? And we end up losing. Hey, folks, says Lee. Hope you're well, matey. We've got Geordie. I honestly think that Fulham on the last day of the season will be a huge match for both clubs. I hope it's not. I really hope it doesn't come down to that, but I have an awful feeling in my stomach that it is going to come to the last game of the season. We have to start looking ahead now and thinking, when are we going to get points? Fulham have got a good run now and need to take advantage of this good next few games that they've got, because if they take advantage of that, we're in the shitter. Ken says, did you see Fulham last night? Thought it was a good away performance as I've seen any team play in the Premiership this season. And if they continue to play like that, we're in big shit. Exactly. They want it more than us at the minute, without a shadow of a doubt. Stop effing mourning, man. Jesus Webb. Yeah, okay. There's always going to be people who don't agree with it. Tell me why I should stop mourning. What is it to be, hopeful about at the moment? You tell me. Absolutely crazy. Well done on 1K. Thanks, mate. Congratulations on 1K. Hopefully it makes you better. Thanks very much, Thomas. Appreciate it. I know you're regular to the show, so thank you very much. It means a lot. Lee says, F and Dino Bruce was never going to get out from that. My worry is Fulham are on our arse. Where is the urgency to win balls and press? Bruce can't do nothing with his team. He's lost it. He has to go. Yeah, he can't. He can't do anything with the team. He's got no motivation anymore. Paul says, hiya, Paul. Maybe Ashley's not bothered about relegation. Maybe he just wants compensation from the Premiership. It's a possibility. I never know what that man's thinking, to be honest. Right, I'm just going to flash a few comments on the screen now because been going just over an hour and time is cracking on. There's some very, very good comments coming in, as usual, to be honest. Some of your players don't look bothered. Yeah, we know that. That's what's most annoying about it, is the fact that they don't look bothered at what's going to happen to us. The Championship is much stronger. Exactly. We're not going to bounce back if we go down. We haven't got the players. Great passion, Paul. Wish your team was passionate as you. Thanks very much, Gary. Appreciate it, mate. Jay says, worried about Lascelles even before his injury. His confidence was... I don't know whether it's just his confidence or his ability is just not good enough, to be fair. How can you not say there were positives? You were bloody deluded, part of the problem. Yeah, okay. That's your opinion and you're welcome to it. I just totally disagree with you. I don't think there was any positives. You name some positives for me then from tonight. He always says that about positives. He just reads from his script. Positives take out the game. Same old, same old. I think it's fair to last game to see him be decider. I really hope it's not. I don't think my nerves could take that. I did think it was steel, but only just. You should have all whipped round to pay that clown Bruce off. I wish we could. I really do. If we go down, Bruce will put it down to injuries. He'd say anything to put the blame on himself. Mitrovic will send us down on the last game of the season. That would be absolutely, totally typical in Newcastle if that happened. We need a good run of positive results. Stick Hendrick in the 10 role, not a chance. More time off than most Premiership teams from last game, and they were playing at a walking pace. Yeah, we did. We had a long time off, and we couldn't perform. I agree. We need a bit of aggression against Man United. You mean John Jolinton? Yes, I do. 3 to 4 wins required. We've still got West Brom, Brighton, Burnley, Sheffield United, and Fulham. Win 3 of those, and we stay up. I agree with that, Ethan. But it's the fact that we struggle against teams around us, and that's the problem. Watch Bruce on Sky, bit deluded. Says he should be okay for second half performer. It just angers me when I hear Steve Bruce comments. I was too busy eating my socks when Chelsea scored the second goal. Right, thank you very, very much, lads and lasses, for all your comments tonight. It's been a fast hour and 10 minutes, but obviously a passionate one again. Do keep an eye open for my recorded review of the game. That'll be out sometime tomorrow lunchtime-ish or early tomorrow afternoon. It'll be the Four Horsemen show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on this channel. I'm sure that's going to be a fiery one. Certainly, I probably still won't have calmed down by then because it takes me a long time, especially when I see performances like that. But do try and enjoy the rest of your evening. And hopefully when it comes to Man United, we can actually try and perform a little bit better. But thank you very, very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody, and take care. Be strong. Be strong.